Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to our class today. Thank you so much for joining us. As you know, today Jessie is going to show us how to add some metallic sheen and some luster to your fall pumpkins for this upcoming fall season. We are super excited because Treasure Gold is one of our favorite paints here at Plaid, and we're so excited to share with you a bunch of tips and tricks how to use it on your faux pumpkins and some other tips, tricks, and techniques with Jessie because she's the best. So we're in store for a really good class today. So I think without further ado, Jess, and of course, this class is going to be recorded just like Felicia said. So if you missed something this round or you want to watch now and craft later, make sure to go to Michael's YouTube channel or to their website page in about 24 to 48 hours to rewatch this class today. And if you have any questions about the product or technique or whatever, please feel free to write them in the chat and I can either answer them myself or I can relay those questions over to Jessie. So Jess, are we ready to start?
We're ready. Thanks, Em.
All right, awesome.
Okay, hey everybody. Like Emma said, my name is Jessie Jennings and I'm a content creator here at Plaid. And today we're making these really beautiful treasure gold botanical pumpkins. So here at Plaid, we are getting ready for Halloween. We are super excited. We have been crafting tons and tons and tons of really fun fall and Halloween inspirational projects. So if you guys don't already follow us on Instagram and Facebook and all the social media channels, TikTok even, it's at Plaid Crafts. So make sure to follow us because we have lots of really fun projects like these pumpkins coming up for you guys this fall. So like Emma said, today, these pumpkins will be using one of my very favorite products, which is called Treasure Gold. So if you haven't used Treasure Gold before, which I have a feeling a lot of you probably have, you really should grab some from Michael's. So you can get it in store or online. But Treasure Gold is one of the most metallic water-based acrylic paints on the market. I've never used a shinier water-based metallic paint ever. Usually they're smelly and they're solvent-based if you want something that's like super duper shiny. But Treasure Gold, it's got a mirror-like finish. It is so shiny. You can see on these pumpkins here, it's got really great coverage. It's multi-surface, which means, you know, you can use it on more than just paper and wood and things like that. You can use it on metal and glass and faux pumpkins. That's what we're gonna be doing here today. So there's just so many ways you can use it, and it is so super shiny. It also comes in more colors than just gold, which is awesome. So this is just a traditional gold color, but it comes in like an antique gold, a rose gold, as well as many jewel tones. There's a beautiful aqua and pink and purple and silver. So you guys, if you have not tried this yet, make sure to go on michaels.com and check this out because it is one of my favorite products that we make here at Plaid. So now that I'm talking about Treasure Gold, I'll just go straight into the supply list if that's okay, unless there's any questions about Treasure Gold.
No, not so far, Jessie. Everyone is just listening intently to you talk about Treasure Gold.
Very cool. Okay, awesome. So what I have here today are 3 pumpkins, and I'm probably just so you don't have to watch me craft the same thing over and over, I'll probably just craft the largest pumpkin because, and I'll explain as we go, a lot of them are gonna be repetition, just using different colors for different layers of color as we start painting our botanicals onto the pumpkin. So I do have 3 different sizes here. It doesn't necessarily matter what color they are. You can see here in the finished project, we have the 2 smaller ones are just kind of that like natural pumpkin color. And then we painted the larger one white, but I'm actually gonna go ahead and I'm gonna paint my larger one white, even though it is white. I know that might sound silly, but I'll explain it more as I do it. So don't worry if you have different color pumpkins. I just have 3 sizes here just to make a nice little grouping that goes together. But if yours aren't exactly like mine, you can use any pumpkins you have at home, any pumpkins. You can paint over the ones you're sick of from last year. You can use whatever. Of course, I have my beautiful Treasure Gold paint in the color gold. And then I've got 2 FolkArt paints here today. So I've got multi-surface paint here, which is great. Just like I kind of mentioned, our Treasure Gold is also multi-surface. This can be used on a variety of surfaces like fabric and glass and metal, in addition to, you know, paper, canvas, wood, those types of, you know, more traditional painting surfaces. So you can use this on so many different things. And they're just, I prefer using this anytime I'm painting on something that's maybe a little bit slick. These pumpkins are like made of like a foam material, and the outside they've got a coating that's a tiny bit slick. So you probably would be fine just using the regular FolkArt acrylics, but whenever I have anything that's maybe a little bit slick, I like to use the multi-surface just because it grips onto the surface a little bit better. Okay. And then I also have some paint pens here today. So I've got some Craft Smart paint pens, and I have black, white, and gold because that's going to be our color palette for today. We're just going to layer it in different ways to make a variety of beautiful botanicals. And then I've got a couple of flat brushes. So I have a 1/2 inch flat and a 3/4 inch flat. So just a couple different sizes to kind of paint those like the base areas of our flowers before we go over them with the paint pen details. And then I also have a hair dryer just to kind of keep things moving so you don't have to wait for drying time. I've got a plate to put my paint on, paper towels, my water basin to rinse my brushes. And then a little extra tool I have today is an old toothbrush. So we're going to be using this at the very end, and I'm not going to tell you why, so that you have to stick around and find out. A lot of you probably know exactly what I'm going to do with this toothbrush, but in case you don't, we will be doing this as our very last step. So hang around to find out why I'm going to be using this toothbrush today. All right, Emma, any questions about the supplies?
Nope, no questions.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start with this kind of cream colored pumpkin I have. And like I said, I'm going to use the I'm going to actually paint it white. I know it may seem silly just because I kind of prefer this really bright white as opposed to this off-white color just with my black and gold palette, but also because when I paint this multi-surface paint on, it'll give it a nice layer for all of my treasure gold and my paint pens to kind of like grip onto. So like I said, this is a little bit slick and I just don't really like painting on slick surfaces. So whenever I am painting on a slick surface, if I can, I like to base coat it in one of our multi-surface paints, and it just gives me a little bit, it almost like acts kind of like a primer actually. But anyway, that's why I'm going to be doing this real quick. So I'm going to put some of this onto my little plate here. I'm going to use my 3/4 inch flat brush just to get a little bigger surface area. I'm just going to do one nice even coat because I don't need to do too many coats because of course it's already pretty white. So you're not going to really see any color coming through. I just want to get that nice coat of creamy FolkArt multi-surface paint on there so that all of my other paints will grip onto it really nicely. So let us know, guys, if you guys are crafting for fall or if you're just pinning inspiration or trying to think of ways to decorate your home. If you guys have some really fun pumpkin, as we call them, faux pumpkin ideas for fall, let us know. I would love to hear what you guys are crafting. I love finding out what you guys are doing at home and getting inspired by all of you. So let us know in the comments what you guys are working on.
I love the look of that faux pumpkin with the details painted on top of it without the base coat, Jess, like the details to make it look like it's an organic pumpkin. I love that style. I think it's so cute.
I do too. I know. I think that turned out so pretty. Okay, so I'm just going to do the front half again. I don't want to make you guys wait for me to do just like the same thing over and over. I just want to make sure you guys all know all of the tools and techniques you need to create these pumpkins, and then it'll just be repeating them over the rest of your pumpkin. So you guys will have all the tools you need to make these by the end. I just don't want you to have to watch me do it, 3 dozen times.
Mm.
Okay, so I've got the whole front covered. So now I'm going to rinse my brush off and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dry this with my hair dryer. And whenever I'm drying acrylic paint with a hair dryer, I like to start with the highest air setting. So the highest like air pressure. And then I like to switch between the hot and cold setting. I just find that sometimes if you dry paint too quickly with the hot setting, acrylic paint wants to crack. So to avoid that, let it get nice and warm and then I switch to the cool setting and I kind of go back and forth. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so that's nice and dry now. So I'm happy with that. All right. So now is the fun part. My favorite part is painting on the treasure gold. So I'm going to kind of turn this around so I can remember what kind of flowers I want to show you today. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my treasure golds. And you can either pour it out onto your plate or you can just dip right into it. It's up to you. But I do want you guys to see just how shiny it is right there. If you can go to overhead in the bottle, can you guys see how already shiny that is? It looks like liquid gold. So I will pour it out so you can see. It's really thick and creamy, just like the rest of our FolkArt paints, but it is just super duper shiny. So if you can see already, it doesn't even have to dry to get that super, super, super shiny finish. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna grab my 1/2-inch flat brush. So anything that looks similar to this is fine. It's just kind of a small to medium size flat brush. And I'm gonna pick up some of my treasure gold. Make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. Pick up some of my treasure gold. And I'm just going to start by painting kind of loose circles. This is going to be the base of our flowers before we go back and doodle on them. So I'm going to paint sort of like loose circles, but don't try to make them perfect, because the great thing about these super loose botanical flowers that are so popular, this kind of like line art, these line drawings, I've seen people get these like tattooed. It's just a really super popular style right now. Is that they're supposed to be loose. So if you are a little bit intimidated about drawing or painting, this is a really great way for you to learn, because it's supposed to be a little bit messy. It's supposed to be a little bit random, but just kind of the style of this pattern here. So I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to start painting a circle, and I do not want it to be perfect. I want it to be pretty imperfect, more of a blob than a circle, really.
And so, Jess, when you're painting this blob on, are you trying to think in your mind of how you want your line drawing flower to look, or not so much?
Not so much for this one. We're going to do a couple different kind of loose shapes here that we're going to draw different kinds of flowers on top of. But for this one, I want it to be kind of a circle, but kind of not. So really super, super loose for this one.
Okay.
Like that. You're going to be rounder or less round. It really doesn't matter for this particular flower that we're going to paint here. So I'm going to go back, guys. I'm going to go through and I'm going to do a few of these different shapes, and then I'm going to go back and do a second coat of the treasure gold, because you can see for metallic paint, it has awesome coverage, but I want super duper full coverage for this. So we're going to let this first coat dry, and then we're going to go back once we've painted on all of this and do a second coat. Okay, so now we're going to do a couple smaller shapes. And so I'm going to use the same brush, still using my 1/2-inch flat brush, but I'm going to go on the side now. So instead of having it flat, hold it up higher for you guys. Instead of having it flat on the pumpkin, I'm going to have it perpendicular to my pumpkin like that. And I'm going to pull down, I'm going to do 3 little brush strokes. So this is what I mean. 1, 2, 3, just like that. Can you see? Super easy. Don't overthink it. You want it to be really loose. I'm going to do a couple of some more right here. 1, 2, 3. So now I'm using the side of my brush to get smaller brush strokes. I'm using the same brush still though. So it looks something like this.
And Jess, Brenda wanted to know how thick of a coat of treasure gold are you applying to your pumpkins?
So whenever I'm painting with any acrylic paint, I don't want to overdo it. So the more paint you apply in the first coat, the more likely it is to crack. You don't ever want to put so much paint on all at once. So just enough to cover the surface. If you feel like it's a little transparent, like this is right here, because we're painting on white, we're going to do a second coat. So I never want to like load it on there, because it just doesn't dry as, first of all, it'll take forever to dry, and there's the chance of it cracking. That's just kind of the nature of acrylic paint. So I always like to do nice, thin, even coats and layer it if I need to.
And so, Jess, Judith said her treasure gold is coming out a little bit light. Do you want to let them know the little tip that we like to give sometimes for metallic paint, what to base coat it with underneath?
Yeah, so that's a great idea. So whenever we're like, say I was painting this whole pumpkin treasure gold, what I would do instead of painting it white first, I would paint it a flat color that goes with gold. So I would paint it like a yellow or even a yellow ochre or like a goldenrod color, just in a flat paint. And that will allow you to do less coats of treasure gold. So if you have paint like that around and you want to do a quick, coat of yellow ochre and then let that dry and then paint the treasure gold on top, by all means, feel free to do that. It's an extra step that will save you some paint, maybe save you some treasure gold paint. But yeah, that's a little trick we do, especially when we're painting like big surfaces with metallic paint. We like to base coat under it with a flat color.
Also, sometimes we like to base coat it with black. We found that black works really well under most metallic colors, which is like a neat little
Yeah, it makes it
tip for
super
you
shiny.
guys.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going with my flowers here. So I'm gonna turn my pumpkin a little, make sure you don't touch the wet part. And I'm gonna do a shape that's kind of like gonna be like the side of a flower. So I've got my brush perpendicular again, just like we did for the tiny guys. And I'm gonna do a big smiley face shape like this. And then I'm gonna do a little swoop at the top to connect it. So kind of like a heart almost, like a really round heart. And then I'm gonna fill him in. And don't forget, we're gonna do a second coat, so don't stress about coverage right now. We'll go back and fix that.
So cute.
Okay,
And Jess, while you're painting those super cute treasure gold details, Deborah had a great question. They wanted to know, could you paint these patterns on real pumpkins?
you totally could. Lots of people like to paint on real pumpkins. Just in my opinion, just purely from personal experience, I don't like to spend all this time painting on something that's not going to last through the season. That's just me. If you're going to take all this time and effort to make something so beautiful, I want to have it for more than just 1 year. But if you just really like the idea of real pumpkins, I do recommend either like making sure that it's completely not punctured and making sure it stays intact, or even what my dad always used to do is, scrape it out if you're going to carve it and scrape the walls really thin. So then your pumpkin dries out instead of starts to like rot and get stinky by the time Halloween or Thanksgiving roll around. So just a little tip, but I always like to do it on fake pumpkins. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a couple more of these big blob shapes, but I'm doing them a little smaller. So just kind of like circular, but imperfect. Just to kind of fill it up. And again, you would want to do this all around to cover your whole pumpkin. But I'm just going to do a few here to show you all of the different elements that go into this pattern. So you have all the tools you need when this class is over to paint all of your pumpkins with this pattern. Okay, so now, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and rinse my brush off because I never want to leave paint in my brush when I'm doing stuff like this. And then I'm gonna dry it and we're gonna do a quick second coat of treasure gold. Okay, so that's good for my second coat. And I just want to remind you guys, just kind of as we're going, so for your other pumpkins, if you wanted to do a grouping like we have here in our final project, you could do one same way that we've done here, one with black and one with white. And we're just going to continue layering those colors just in a different order, just to give it some variety. It's all the same pattern, just a different order of the colors to make them all look different, but really cohesive. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to add a second coat of treasure gold. You can see here, the second coat will definitely do the trick. Nice and smooth. You can see how it's already getting amazing coverage. And don't forget too, if you don't have like 100%, perfect coverage, if it's not as perfect as you'd like it to be, don't forget that we're going to go over it with a paint pen with details. So you're not really going to notice most of the imperfections if you have any. You should get pretty much full coverage with the second coat, but if not, just definitely don't stress about it because we're going to be drawing over it anyway, and you won't see any little spots here and there.
And I love how even though like in certain areas where the treasure gold does look a little lighter, it is still so metallic looking.
Oh yeah, it's still super duper shiny. And like Emma said, if you wanted to do this pumpkin with like a black base coat, you probably would only need the one coat of treasure gold. Emma's right. Metallics just go really well over black. I think the black base just really makes them shine, and you just get really good coverage that way.
And Sabrina was asking, does Michael's currently sell these pumpkins?
You know what? They should. Michael's typically has, we always have pumpkins here at Plaid just because we like stock up. Michael's usually has some of the best faux pumpkins, in my opinion. So they have these great sizes, like this one here, like this one, and then one slightly smaller, and they're just perfect for crafting because they're nice and round and they're inexpensive. So they should have them because they usually do.
Yeah, and everyone's saying they got their pumpkins from Michael's, so definitely stock up on your faux pumpkins this year, you guys.
Awesome, yeah. Because like I said, we always stock up, so I think we actually have these from last year. But because we like to craft for Halloween, way before Michael's is putting Halloween out. But yeah, they have the best ones every year, so they should. So I'm gonna go ahead and dry this again.
Okay.
So for this part, guys, you just want to make sure anytime you're going to go over acrylic paint with a paint pen, you want it to be super dry. Because if it's even a little bit tacky, the paint will start to gum up on the felt tip of your paint pen. So that's why I'm just taking an extra minute. Sorry, you guys have to wait for me to make sure that it is super duper dry. So I just have a much easier time with the paint pen. So if you guys are crafting along with me, just make sure you get it as dry as you possibly can. Just another minute.
Okay.
While I'm still drying, you guys, if this is not your first plaid class, plaid crafting or paint night class with us, put in the chat. I'm curious to hear what has been your favorite class with plaid, because we're always looking for new ideas and new inspiration to share with you guys. So I'm going to dry this for another minute and a half. So let us know in the chat what's been your favorite plaid crafts class. Okay, guys. We have a
So
lot of responses there.
yes, we have a lot of responses, Jess. It is a lot of people's first class. So
Cool.
welcome. We are so excited that you're here. Somebody said they loved the seascape classes and also painting pumpkins on canvases. So you're in luck because there's a lot more of painting pumpkins on canvases in store.
If you like painting pumpkins, you're in the right place because we have tons of fun pumpkin paintings coming up with Michael's. So make sure to look out for those. And I'm so glad I keep seeing all these first time viewers for these plaid classes. So welcome, guys. I'm so glad you found this. We do at least one crafting class a week with Michael's. It changes kind of from month to month. So I'm going to do a couple, but really quick too, every Monday night, we're here in the Michael's Mini Classroom, 8 p.m. Eastern time, doing what we call Paint Night Live. So we teach you to paint a full painting from beginning to end in just about an hour. So it's really fun. Grab your friends, grab your family, just sit at home and relax and paint along with us. So we're about to get into the seasonal content. So we've got lots of pumpkins and fun fall things coming up. So yeah, check that out, guys. We'd love to have you. We always get tons of viewers there. And we just have a blast every Monday night. It's me, or it's Emma, or Andy Jones, or Chris Williams, or Kirsten Jones. We've got tons of really great artists here who just have so much fun teaching those paint nights. So we'd love to see you guys in that class on Mondays.
Yeah, absolutely. And also for all of you newcomers, like we said, welcome. But if you don't know, we here at Plaid are the makers of FolkArt paint and Mod Podge. So for we do, classes with Michael's every single week, just like Jesse said, and we share all of our tips and tricks and knowledge and fun ideas and inspiration on everything FolkArt and Mod Podge. So if that piques your interest, definitely tune into some of our other classes with Michael's.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, so after all that drying and talking, I'm hoping that these are dry enough. They still feel a little bit sticky, but I think we should be okay to start with our paint pen because I want to start showing you. I said the treasure gold is my favorite part because I just love treasure gold, but the doodling is also my favorite part. I love this part too, just because it's really fun. You kind of like turn your mind off and just kind of let your hands do all the work. And it's just a lot of fun to be really loose with this. So like I said, I have a Craft Smart paint pen here. So this is an oil-based paint pen. It's a multi-surface pen. So it has instructions on here. It says to shake it and then push, and then holds it like this. So you can, if it's brand new, so you can, so all of the paint in the pen will flow into the felt tip. I've used this one before, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of a shake, and then I'll test it on my napkin to make sure it's flowing. Okay, so if you don't have a paint pen, you can also use like a really fine liner brush or like a small round brush and just acrylic paint. It'll take a little bit longer, of course, but you'll get the exact same effect. So don't stress if you don't have a paint pen, or even a Sharpie for the black one will work. It won't work as well when you want to do the gold and white. You might use acrylic paint for that, but there's lots of different options for this. Okay, so I'm going to start with this big one. This is the first one that we drew together, that we painted together. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the details on that one. So this is going to be kind of a daisy style flower. So to start, I'm going to do a little oval in the middle. And again, make sure you keep it so loose. To help you keep your flowers loose, I recommend that you don't hold your paint pen too tight. If you hold your pen really loose in your hand, you're going to get a really nice loose line. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Oops, pressed my pen a little too much. Okay. So I'm going to use the tip of my pen and I'm going to do a really loose oval here in the middle, like really loose. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
This is a daisy shaped flower. And then I'm going to go, trying to stay on the treasure gold, I'm going to go really loosely and start painting some petals, all touching, but none of them are going to be perfect. That is the look of these botanicals that we're going for today.
And Jess, Mercedes had a good question. She wanted to know if you could use a Posca marker for this.
I think that is the paint pen. So I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I've not used those myself, but I've heard really good things about it. So yeah, I think you definitely could. Okay, so now I'm going to add just a few dots into the middle just to give it some texture. See there, just super, super loose and easy. Don't overcomplicate it. Just keep it really, really easy.
That's already really cute.
Yeah, you can see how super simple it is to do. I know drawing intimidates a lot of people, but just, it only needs to be what you want it to be. So it doesn't need to be anything fancy. It doesn't need to be anything super complicated. And look how pretty that is already.
It's so pretty. And if you're super nervous, you could practice on a piece of paper real quick before, or look at our project photo.
And the great thing about acrylic paint, guys, is let it dry and paint back over it with your gold if you don't like it. If you mess up one of your flowers, go back over it with the acrylic paint and then just dry it and redo it.
Yes.
I saw somebody asking what size the tip is. I don't see anything on here that says specifically what the tip size is, but I'll just show you. It's like a chisel tip. I'll show you on the overhead. You guys see the overhead? Yeah, there we go. It's like a chisel tip. So you can do like a wide tip, or you can just go on the very tip and get like a nice fine line. So you kind of have the option of both.
And I'm going to try to post that link in here of this paint pen that we're working with right now.
Cool. All right. So now I'm going to do some lines to connect some of these flowers. So I'm going to draw a line from this one up to this little guy that we painted. So really loose again. I know you're probably sick of hearing me say the word loose, but I just want you guys to kind of like keep that in your mind when you're drawing. Don't hold your pen too tight. Don't press down too hard. Just keep it really, really easy. I'm going to do another one to the other one here. So just a couple of little stems. And then for these are going to be kind of a different style of flower. So I'm going to do a little black circle at the bottom of these. I'm just going to do them both at the same time because they're going to be the same style. So you see that? Little black circles right at the base of those ones we made with the side of our brush. And then I'm going to do the petals going upwards. We're kind of looking at the side of these ones. And I'm barely pressing down on my pumpkin so I get that kind of squiggly line because I really like that style. And I'm going to do some little lines for texture on these two, just like the bigger flower. Getting a good view of that, Em?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And now I'm going to do some leaves on my little stems here too. So these are just going to be super simple, just how you think of leaves to be, kind of cartoonish almost. Really easy leaves on those, just to kind of fill it up and give us a little more in our pattern. I'm going to add some little, what are the little like things in the middle of the flower called that have like the pollen on them? Stamen. You.
I feel like we've asked that before, and I feel like Dylan's answered us before.
Yes, I agree. So the stamen, I just drew little tiny lines coming out of the top of those petals with little dots on the end for the stamen. So just really simple. The more details you add, the more it looks kind of realistic. So that's why we're going to try to add as many details as we can. So I'm going to do another leaf down here coming off of my big flower. We could even draw a little greenery. It's not green, of course, but little greenery shape coming off of that just for some more detail. How simple that was. It was just a line with little ovals going up either side. So those are two different kinds of flowers. So really, I mean, you could just use those and fill up the entire pumpkin with those, and it'll be really beautiful. Just kind of repeat that pattern all the way around. But I am going to show you 1/3 flower you can draw with this. So remember that loose heart we made? We're going to go ahead and we're going to do this one. So I'm going to do an oval at the bottom, kind of like the center of our daisy flower here, but I'm going to do it at the very bottom. And then just kind of like our tiny flowers, I'm going to do some petals going upwards. I'm going to kind of loosely follow the edge of where my treasure gold is. And the same thing, I'm going to paint some lines going up just for a little bit of detail and texture. And I can even make some texture on my center of my flower. And then some more of the little stamen coming up out of this guy. See how cute he is?
Really cute.
Another way to draw a little flower to add to our pattern. And then I can add, stem to him, and I can add leaf there. And I'm just going to continue this. So I'm just going to do another smaller version of my daisy here.
So you're making your petals kind of wiggly, right?
Yes, I'm kind of doing that on purpose because I just love the look of that like botanical line art that is so popular right now. So I'm purposefully making them kind of wiggly. I'm adding some leaves here and there, some other little botanical elements just to make the pattern more interesting. but you can see how loose I'm being. I'm like, don't have a very tight grip on my pen. Do you guys remember when I was in elementary school and we were learning to write in cursive and they said, have a loose grip on your pencil, and the teacher would come around and try to grab the pencil out of your hand. And if she couldn't while you were writing, you're gripping it too hard. So imagine somebody's about to come pull this paint pen out of your hand. And if they're not going to be able to, you're gripping it too hard. You want to hold it nice and loosely. Some more leaves. Yeah, and I'm just going to keep adding these little details. They'll have us a nice full botanical pattern. You can just keep going all the way around the pumpkin, of course. And then for these smaller ones, you guys, it would just be the same thing, like I said before. So this one here, the same flowers, the same pattern, but we did a base coat in black. And then we added details with the white paint pen and the gold paint pen. So it's the same pattern all over, but it's a much different look. And then this one here, we did little black leaves, very similar, just kind of as a little accent to this pattern with the white paint pen there, just to detail it. So they all just look really pretty together, and they're all a little bit different, but really not very different at all. Really the exact same technique for each one.
Jesse, Catherine Randall had a question. She wanted to know, could you use, hey, could you use alcohol pens?
Yeah, I think you could. I don't see why not.
Yeah, and you know, if we never know an answer to one of you guys' questions, you know, just test it. Find, you know, do it on the back of the pumpkin, so that way if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way if it doesn't work, you don't have to worry about your pumpkin being ugly.
Great idea. Great idea to test it. Emma's more careful than I am. I'm like, yeah,
start drawing, go crazy.
Test it on the bottom and make sure that it, you know, it has the effect that you're looking for before you start painting all over your pumpkins. But okay, cool. So I hope you guys kind of, you know, feel like, oh, go ahead.
Are you going to show us the toothbrush technique?
Yeah, that's what I was about to do.
Sorry.
Okay. So like I said, I hope you guys feel like you have, you know, all the tools you need to continue this pattern all the way around. And now I'm going to show you, just to add another layer of details to your pumpkin, why I brought this toothbrush to the class here today. So I'm going to grab some of my black paint. So again, this is just some black FolkArt multi-surface paint. This is Licorice, but pure black or any black color will be fine. Put a little bit on my plate here. And then I'm going to dip. I really should have something down for this. I'll lay a napkin out. I'm going to dip my, I don't want to get in trouble for messing up this table, even though it's pretty messed up. I'm going to dip my toothbrush in some water. I'm going to protect my surface. So if you guys are working on a nice table at home, protect your surface as well, because we might get a little messy here. So some napkins are fine. Okay, so I'm going to dip my toothbrush in some water. It doesn't need to be super clean. If you have good painting habits, it should be, but it's fine if it's not. And I'm going to pick up some paint with it. So you can see I have like an inky consistency here, very watery, kind of inky. If it's a little thick, just pick up some more water. If it's way too thin, just pick up some more paint, but it should look kind of like that. Can you see how thin that is?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So now I'm going to just tap some of the excess out. What you're going to do is you probably want to practice, just like Emma said, she's got better habits than me. Practice on a paper towel here. But what you're going to do is you're going to rake your thumb across the bristles, and it's going to create a beautiful splattered effect. And what the real name for that is fly specking. So this creates beautiful little spattered texture on your paintings or your crafts or whatever it is that you're making, your signs. But it just adds another layer of detail. So you can see here in this final pumpkin, we just have really cute little, I'm trying to find a spot you can see better, that cute little splatter effect that just adds that nice little texture to the background, so it's not so flat. So I'm going to do that to my pumpkin now.
Almost like a bird's egg.
Yeah, it is like a bird's egg. That's a really good comparison. That little pretty little speckled texture. And you want to practice, make sure you have a good consistency. You have kind of a feel for the way the paint's going to go. And don't worry, guys, if you get it on your hands, which you definitely will, FolkArt paint is water-based and non-toxic. So you can just wash your hands with soap and water when you're done, and it will come right off. Okay, guys, so that is it for this pumpkin. I hope you had so much fun with this floral pumpkin class. Like we said, we have so many more pumpkins to share with you guys. We've got tons of classes coming up lots of Halloween and fall and Thanksgiving content to share with you guys. And if you decide to make any of these projects or any of our projects, make sure to hashtag plaid crafts. We'd love to see what you guys are making. And also, we have just an insane amount of fun fall content coming out soon. So if you don't follow us on social media, at Plaid Crafts on Instagram, TikTok, you can find us on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you guys, and we'd love to see you guys post your projects. So anything else I forgot, Em?
No, somebody wants to see your orange pumpkin just one more time.
Okay. One
Yeah.
more time for the pumpkin.
So cute.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining. We hope you had fun with this class, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.